Greetings and welcome to Legacies of Wavryn, Lore of the Endelment. This will be chapter 47 of this reading. I couldn't believe it. It was the most impossible thing I had ever seen. On Yumi, the Dominion. He had become Bodor, the planet itself. But how? As the planet pushed ever so closer, everyone except my friends began to panic, while some of the people nearby began to call out for me to stop this catastrophe. Yumi laughed out loud for a moment, then he said,
I had so hoped it would come to this. Dominic's such a fool.
Staring up at the planet, Eyeless yelled, "Who are you?"
I am the Dominion. I am Yumi.
Frightened, Serena asked, "But how is that possible?" Yumi laughed again, then replied,
With a hollowed-out planet, Dominic thought he could use his life force to keep the shell contained till the birth year came. Unfortunately, that was when I made my move. Ever since then, I've been hiding as Bodor, waiting to finally meet the Endelment.
The maniac laughed once more, then said,
It's good to see you all.
"It's a pleasure," I sarcastically said. "Now I can get rid of you and be on my way to bringing peace." Yumi laughed, louder this time, and for a bit longer. Then he said,
Endelment. You don't have the power to even halt my advance. And with you weakened now, I'm going to destroy all of what you hold dear. I'll obliterate both worlds in a single motion, leaving myself completely unharmed to take over your body, Endelment, and conquer existence.
Eyeless and JJ channeled their energy into their hands as they raised them at the Dominion, creating a large light blue energy barrier that was big enough to wrap around Earth and protect it from the assault. However, just 3 seconds after they created the barrier, Yumi was able to crash through it and just continued on its course. Even when Wolf brought up her impossibly strong barrier around Earth, the Dominion was still able to shatter it with ease. Upon destruction of her technique, Wolf ducked for a second. She quickly barked, "Son of a bitch!" She then stood up as she looked back at the planet and said, "Damn it! If my barrier won't stop it, then don't say it," Joey barked as he looked over at the Alicans. "This isn't over. We just need to wait for Ray to regain his powers, and he'll be able to crush that thing with one blow." "If it were only that simple," Eyeless said. Everyone looked over at me, while I faced the ground depressed and said, "He's right. I may have regained my energy, but we both know it's not enough. I can sense that it'll take more than what I have to stop this amount of force." Fox bent her ears in sadness and asked, "So, we lost?" Serena grabbed my right arm with both of her hands as she looked up at me and said, "Come on, Ray. You have to try." I looked over at my wife with a smirk and asked, "Who said I wasn't going to?" With that, she gave me a confused expression while I continued, "I just need to gather my thoughts." And then looked back up at the planet and thought, this is it. The end of everything to my world. I knew I was to stop Father, but this, Yumi. How can I stop him? And what of Serena? I can't leave her. Just then, I heard someone from the crowd around me call out, "Come on, man! You can do it!" I glanced around to find that all of the races around me were starting to cheer me on to stop the Dominion, while another person said, "Please, sir, help us!" I stared back up at Bodor as my friends turned to me to see what I might do, while Nanale asked, "What now, my lord?" "Dude," Shadow said, You're fucked. Nothing you do now will work. Shut it, Shadow, Light barked. Just remember what our masters told you, my lord. You've only got one shot at this. Remembering what the dragons had once said about my light and dark powers, I tried one more time to combine the two. However, it was not going to be easy the way I thought to do so. I looked down at my hands as I raised them to my chest and removed both Shadow's and Light's soul. Once in my hands, I tried to push their souls together to fuse them. Every time I tried, they would resist and push themselves away. After the third try, I stopped and just brought them back into my own soul, where I got chewed out by both Shadow and Light for trying a stupid stunt on them. Except that might have hurt them somehow. Now frustrated, I said, "Damn it! How can I use Abyss and Bliss together if I can't cross their powers with each other?" Ayumi sinisterly laughed. Then Eyeless said, "Come on, brother. You need to do something and you need to do it now." "He's right, my lord," Baraku said. "Otherwise, it really is over." I turned to the Hiroga and barked, "It ain't over till I say it's over." Followed by that, the Dominion sinisterly laughed again. He must have thought that I was trying to buy time. However, I just then remembered what someone had said a while back. You'll see. Even you will be surprised at how powerful one can become with just a simple technique. With that, I thought, technique? Is that what Kalita called it? The Hiroga transformation. It's a technique? That's it. Ray, Serena said, you don't have a lot of time left to stop that ball of rock. Though I heard my wife, I ignored her for the moment and quietly said, the Hirogas have the ability to increase their powers by changing their forms into what truly represents them. Meaning with their transformation, they can usually overpower anyone, just as long as they have a much stronger soul than their opponent. But it's a technique. Anyone can use it. I can use it. Ayumi this time sounded as if confused, while Serena asked, Ray, are you alright? Once I realized what I needed to do, I said, I need more power. What? Ayumi sinisterly laughed, again. Then I turned towards my wife and grabbed her upper arms and replied, I need more power. In order for this to work, I need to be able to control the elements around me. What are you talking about? How could you possibly need more power? Baraku walked over to us and said, I'm sorry, my lord, but with your body, that kind of power is impossible to obtain or even to control. Sometimes it's even impossible for us Hirogas to manipulate the elements in order to transform. I don't care, I barked as I looked over at the wolf and lowered my hands. This fight is going to end, and I'll be the one to end it. Ayumi sinisterly laughed once more, then with his vile voice said,
Tick tock.
Enough, Zaec, Serena angrily barked as she grabbed my right arm with her left hand. I know where this is going. Stop yourself right now. I have no choice, Serena, I yelled as I looked over at her. If I don't do this now, we're all going to die. Just as I did, she started to cry, knowing that she would lose me either way, but I tried to calm her down as I softly said, I'm sorry, Serena. I then motioned closer to her to give her one last hug, while I continued, Don't forget, I am forever with you. Alice and JJ moved to get everyone around me away, so that once I had gathered enough energy, no one would get struck by some random mishap. And yes, random mishaps can happen. However, Serena didn't want to move. She just stood next to me and held onto my right arm tight, crying as she muttered to herself to not let me go. But after a few seconds, Wolf and Fox moved to gently take my wife by her arms and walk her away from me. Yet just a few steps aside, Serena began to struggle and fight back to stop me. Ayumi sinisterly laughed, then said,
I'll be nice with you. Just lie down and accept death. Don't fight it. That only makes things worse, you know. Just give up. I'm being honest with you. You can't run. You can't fight. You can't even dream. Don't bother trying to stop me.
When everyone was far away from me, I remembered the words of the greatest warrior ever known to me, Grandpa Jijaku Shero. I went to calmly stare down at the ground while I recalled his words. Remember, Rei, there is a time in life when you will have to make an impossible choice, even if that choice can only be led by hope. Never give up. Never give in. Ayumi sinisterly laughed and said,
Tick. Tock.
I stood myself up straight as I placed my fists at my sides and closed my eyes to concentrate on channeling the energy I needed, first of my own, then from others. When I channeled all the energy I could from myself, I changed back into my empowered Endelment form, and very calmly spoke to everyone on Earth through the power of telepathy, able to translate it in each of their languages. Through my mind only, I said, Everyone, I must ask of you something very important. I know I have no right in doing so, but I must, in order to save your world. You must give me your energy. In order for me to end this invasion once and for all, you must do as I say. Please, give me your power. However, just as I asked, the people of Earth turned from me and refused. I don't know what made them angry, but whatever it was, they wouldn't cooperate. They just shouted back in hatred. After a minute, I begged, Please, give me your energy. There's no way I can defeat this thing on my own anymore. I need your help. Again, the people of Earth refused. So to understand why, I listened in on what some of them were saying, which I found to be quite ignorant. I hate humans. They said, Why should we help you? You're the reason this crap's happening. Why should we trust you? What makes you think you can just order us around because of a simple attack? It's my energy, so why should I give it to you? Earth is not a place you can just take from us. They just went on and on, as if this was just some stupid prank. They believed that what I was doing, even though it was to help them more than anything, was wrong. However, as I shunned the voices out, I sensed a ray of hope. A small amount of energy being given to me. I opened my eyes and turned to look over at Eyeless to see that he had his right hand aimed towards me, while releasing his energy out into the open for me to absorb. Soon after that, my friends joined in, as did some of the other people nearby. But only Serena held her arms down. Staring at me, she continued to cry. Once I noticed the people around me stepping in to help, I turned my head back as I closed my eyes again and continued to speak to the rest of Earth. After a while, Ayumi asked,
What's going on? What are you possibly trying to do as a means to defeat me now?
Another minute passed by. Just about everyone in Manhattan had raised their hands out and allowed me to siphon their energy. But even then it wasn't enough. If I was to gain this new ability, I needed them all, along with the wildlife. Once I found that most of Earth was still holding back, I started speaking through my mouth, yet still talking through telepathy to the others. Everyone, please, lend your energy to me. I need your full cooperation in this matter. I don't have much time. Don't worry, Rei. Grandpa said, speaking through my mind as if alongside shadow and light. If you break me, I do not stop working. If you touch me, you may be snared. If you lose me, nothing will matter. But just trust in me, and your journey may continue. I opened my eyes and realized what had been spoken. Then I said, Grandpa, you were Blight this whole time? Grandpa laughed, and he said, nothing gets past you that easily now, does it, Ray? Blight was a temporary form I created in which to live in after my first embodiment was destroyed. I kept it with me until my time had come, knowing it would be Dominic who brought forth my demise. So, Ray, you know the riddle? I nodded my head slightly, then closed my eyes again and said, People of Earth, please, look into your hearts and find that, deep within, you all want your world to forever stand. You want to save it as much as your enemies do. Come to terms with them, and with me, so that I may bring forth salvation to your home, giving it a chance to forever stand as it is, so that you may make it better. I beg of you, come to peace with yourselves, and help me. And he shouted,
It doesn't matter how much energy you absorb from those foolish mortals you call friends. It won't be enough to kill me.
Too bad the Dominion didn't think the entire planet would get involved. Every living thing on Earth, both from the human world and Bodor, either people, wild animals, plant life, had given me the right to siphon their energy, so that I may end this bout between the Dominion and I, once and for all. Just as I gained their approval, I opened my eyes as I bent my head back to look up at Bodor and roared, channeling all the energy gathered directly into my body and soul. I could feel the intense power trying to form into my body, burning from the inside as it tried to break free. As more energy continued to pour in, my shouting grew, while my aura flared from me uncontrollably. Ayumi, suddenly frightened, began to panic and said,
What the? Where is he getting all this energy? It can't possibly be from those insignificant humans.
Just then, Grandpa calmly said, Very good, Ray. He then changed his tone to be blunt as he continued, End it. I stopped my roaring as large and multiple spikes of cassetic crystals shot up from around me and covered my body. Then shortly after that, a blood-red shockwave with dark gray lightning burst from within. The energy I was gathering stopped flowing in, as what I had obtained amazingly kept stable within my body's new form. What also surprised me was that both Shadow's and Light's soul had finally fused together within me, allowing me to use their powers of Abyss and Bliss at the same time. Along with the shockwave, the cassetic crystals around me shattered and disappeared when they fell to the ground, revealing my final change. My new transformation looked to be of my true form, but it had grown 4 large wings in the back. The top right wing was pitch black, and the bottom right was bright white, with the other 2 being vice versa. The white of my eyes turned pitch black, my pupils turned bright white, while the blood red and dark gray color of my eyes were flaring as they shined immensely. There were 2 small white markings that spiked away from the outer edge of my right eye, while 2 black markings spiked out from my left. Nothing of my body's height or simple structure had changed. However, in Wavryn, looks can truly be deceiving. Having witnessed my new state, Ayumi laughed, then yelled,
What? That all? What a joke. You can't ever hope to beat me in that pathetic stature, Endelment.
I looked up at the planet, with my voice echoing in as I spoke, and shouted,
You think you can defeat me, you monster?
My wings spread out, and a loud yet low-pitched bang came from my body. Then I bent my knees to motion myself into a powerful jump as I shouted,
I'll blow you away!
Acting as if uncaring to the situation, Ayumi simply responded with,
By all means, go right ahead and try. You won't last.
I jolted up towards Bodor, my right fist pulled back as far as I could get it, and as I reached the surface, I swung with all my might and struck a 200-foot deep crater, 500 yards wide in diameter, into the crust of the planet, halting the Dominion from moving towards Earth. I actually pushed the planet back a few yards, but after a few seconds, the creature started to slowly push against me, trying to continue on its course of destruction. Unbelievably enough, Grandpa jolted out from my body and formed a body of his own at my right side to try and fend off the Dominion, with Serena jolting up to help us push against the planet as well at my left. However, even with the three of us, we couldn't stop the thing. I couldn't understand why. I had calculated everything. As we tried to push back, Ayumi sinisterly laughed even harder, and he said,
Even with the power you three have, you can't beat me. It's over for you.
While focused on pushing back the planet, Serena asked, Why not use the shatter technique? It can kill any living thing, can't it? For one, Grandpa replied, no. Something of this magnitude can't be destroyed so easily. And two, the planet itself isn't alive, so it wouldn't work. But there is one thing. Just then, Ayumi shouted,
You're all going to die!
Ignoring that, Grandpa continued, It hasn't been tested, only because it takes too much power.
Just tell me,
I demanded. Grandpa laughed at that. Then he looked over at me with a smile and said, I already have. I looked over at him, confused. Then his temporary body disappeared as he calmly said, Goodbye, Ray. Take care. Pushing back with just my right hand, I looked around to try and understand what Grandpa meant. Then I noticed Serena's collar. Her medallion. It was a long shot, but at that point anything was possible. I quickly reached for her collar with my left hand and ripped away the medallion from it, then swung it over to me and quickly fixed it onto my own collar. There, a smaller ring went to contain a partial soul of my blood red and dark gray color, with black and white lightning around it in the center. The smaller ring immediately going to spin at a great speed. Serena looked over at me and asked, What the hell are you doing? Immediately, I reached my left hand back over to my wife, where I grabbed her right arm as I looked deep into her eyes, giving out one small tear from my own eyes, and said, Goodbye, Serena. I channeled my soul's powers to connect in between myself and the medallion, which increased my abilities by nearly 7 times. I used some of my energy to form a temporary barrier around Serena's body, and pushed her away, tossing her back down onto Earth to keep her safe. I then forced my left hand forward into the crust of the planet, and forced Bodor back with all I had as I roared, moving it into the depths of space away from Earth. While pushing back the planet, Ayumi panicked and yelled,
No! No, 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 no! Impossible! How are you doing this? Where did you get this power?
With the Dominion far enough to keep Earth from being hit from the crossfire, I screamed,
It's over!
I pushed myself back a bit to channel all of my energy that I had into my right hand, placed at my lower side as if to motion to create shatter. However, I kept my hand and fingers apart, knowing of how to create a different kind of shatter technique. As I conjured my energy, my wings disappeared from their ends to my back. Then a loud and high-pitched squeal came from my right hand. A white energy blast with a black core formed at the center of my palm, while nearly hundreds of blood red and dark gray lightning strips swarmed its edge. The blast was slightly bigger than my hand, and was mostly sizable by the hundreds of spikes that swarmed around it as well. The blast I had created was far more powerful than anything I had ever used. It could destroy anything that it touched, and was able to obliterate even the biggest of stars. As to its power, no being of life, mortal or immortal, god or human, had ever tried to use this technique before. In fact, it was never proven that it could be done. That wasn't going to stop me. No matter what could happen after using it, I was not going to lose. I pulled my right hand back as far as I could, then swung it out to throw the energy towards Anyumi as my hand moved upward and across my body, motioning over my left shoulder. While swinging my right hand back to my right side, clenching it into a fist, I shouted out the blast's title with all my breath. Cosmic Shatter! Not long after that, the attack took its effect. Just as it struck Bodor, crushing and breaking through to the core at the speed of light, the planet's surface began to crack as it was being ripped apart from the inside out, with bits of the world crumbling off into dust around it. Once the planet started to fall apart, Anyumi panicked even more and shouted,
No! No! I was so close! So close!
The planet then broke away as the Dominion's final words were,
This isn't over, Endelment!
The planet exploded and blew away small chunks of itself across the solar system, with a powerful shockwave that blew back to Earth. Yet it was only powerful enough to rattle the human's planet a bit once it reached, not even enough to damage it. However, I was within the right distance to be hit by the full force of the shockwave, obliterating my body on impact and leaving nothing behind. That was it. The end of everything that once stood for Bodor and the Empire. It was all gone. Just as the legend said it would be. My friends could now live their lives in peace, as it has been given to those that deserved it, along with a new life waiting for them ahead. A grand life to look forward to. One that will hopefully reunite Earth with the whole galaxy, as Bodor once did when it had stood. Earth stands in place of Bodor now, so to speak. A beautiful planet with history behind every grain of dirt that it carried. Home, even to a once proud and powerful warrior. The Endelment. So how can I still be telling you my story, you ask? Well, this concludes the reading of chapter 47. Thank you all for watching and listening. If you like what you've seen and heard, there will be a link to my physical works in the description below. That being said, stay safe, take care, and we'll see you again next week, reading the final chapter, chapter 48.